Have you ever listened to a single phone call and realized that nearly every answer inside it creates another question? Sometimes it's not what people say that captures attention. It's what they don't say. It's the pauses, the confusion, the words that seem ordinary until you hear them again after learning everything that happened next. That's exactly why thousands of people have spent the past several days listening, replaying, and analyzing one recording connected to the disappearance of Nolan Wells. Today, you're going to hear that call for yourself. Not a shortened version, not a few isolated clips, the full SeaTow call. But before we play it, we need to understand why this recording has become one of the most discussed pieces of evidence in the case, why investigators and the public continue examining the timeline, and why so many people believe this phone call deserves a closer look. Welcome back to Brian Case Records, where we separate documented facts from speculation and examine the evidence behind today's biggest true crime stories. If you appreciate careful, fact-based investigations, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Brian Case Records, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. To understand why this recording matters, we have to go back to the beginning. Nolan Wells was part of a group of young people spending the 4th of July on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Like countless others celebrating the holiday, the group planned to spend time on the water around Horn Island, an area well known to local boaters for its beaches and recreational boating. At some point during the afternoon, the group encountered mechanical problems involving their boat. What happened after that has become the subject of intense public interest, multiple interviews, continuing investigation, and widespread online discussion. One of the earliest documented records from that afternoon is the SeaTow call you're about to hear. SeaTow is not Jevansit Yedanastya. It is not the United States Coast Guard. It is a private marine assistance service that responds to problems such as disabled boats, towing requests, and mechanical emergencies. According to the recording, the caller reported that the boat's bilge pump was no longer keeping up with incoming water and that the vessel was beginning to sink. The dispatcher immediately began asking the standard questions required to determine what kind of assistance was needed. Those questions seemed simple. Where are you? How many people are on board? Is everyone okay? Do you need the Coast Guard? Questions that would normally receive straightforward answers. Instead, the conversation quickly becomes difficult to follow. The caller struggles to provide account information. The phone connection repeatedly breaks up. Coordinates have to be repeated. Questions have to be asked more than once. Even determining how many people are on the boat takes several attempts before the dispatcher receives an answer she can understand. It's important to recognize the context before drawing conclusions. A sinking boat is an emergency. People under stress often have difficulty communicating clearly. Publicly available interviews have also indicated that members of the group had consumed alcohol earlier in the day, something that could further affect communication during a stressful event. None of that by itself proves wrongdoing. It simply helps explain why parts of the conversation sound confused. But confusion is only one reason this recording has received so much attention. Another reason is timing. This phone call took place during the afternoon on July 4, while the group was still together near Horn Island. Later events surrounding Nolan Wells' disappearance would lead many people to revisit everything that happened during those hours, including this recording. As the case attracted national attention, media organizations, independent analysts, and members of the public began reviewing the audio repeatedly. Some focused on the caller's responses. Others concentrated on voices that appear to be speaking in the background. That is where the discussion became significantly more complicated. One media outlet later published an enhanced version of the recording, suggesting certain words could be heard beneath the primary conversation. Those reported interpretations quickly spread across social media. However, it's important to distinguish between an interpretation of enhanced audio and verified evidence. To date, no law enforcement agency has publicly confirmed that those alleged background phrases accurately represent what was said during the call. Independent digital forensics experts have also disagreed about what can actually be heard after enhancement. Some experts have said they could not independently verify the reported phrases. Others have cautioned that once listeners are told what to expect, the human brain can begin hearing words that may not actually be distinguishable in the recording. This phenomenon is well documented in audio perception and is one reason forensic audio analysis requires careful methodology rather than assumptions. That distinction matters, because this video is not about deciding what we want to hear. It's about examining what is actually documented. There is another reason this call continues to receive attention. Throughout the conversation, the dispatcher repeatedly asked questions designed to understand the seriousness of the emergency. She wants to know whether anyone needs immediate medical assistance. She asks whether everyone on board is okay. She asks whether the Coast Guard should be contacted. Those exchanges have become central to public discussion because people naturally compare them with everything investigators have later revealed about the broader timeline. That comparison has fueled ongoing debate. At the same time, it's equally important not to assume that confusion during a stressful emergency automatically indicates deception. Those are two very different conclusions. One is supported by the recording itself. The other requires evidence that has not been publicly established. As we continue through today's investigation, our goal is simple. We'll listen carefully. We'll separate documented facts from public interpretation. We'll examine the timeline, and we'll allow the recording to speak for itself before breaking down each significant moment. In just a moment, you're going to hear the complete uncut SeaTow call exactly as it has been publicly released. Listen closely to the dispatcher's questions. Pay attention to how the caller responds. Notice how often questions have to be repeated because of poor reception or confusion. Think about the overall context instead of focusing on any single sentence. Because once the call ends, we're going to go through it piece by piece and explain why investigators, journalists, and the public continue discussing it months later. If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment saying, "I'm still here." It lets us know you're following the investigation from beginning to end. And don't forget to like this video if you appreciate fact-based reporting here on Brian Case Records. Now, without interruption, here's the full uncut SeaTow.
It's either Jerry Atkinson. I think it's Jerry Atkinson. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like, guaranteed. I don't have the tag on
Unless you
here.
have a
It got ripped
membership
off.
number or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Reach me at 2.
All right. And is everybody on board in good health otherwise?
Yeah, everybody's
How
on
many?
board.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
All right. All right. Do you have your current GPS coordinates?
Let me go look.
If not, I can send you a text message.
North. Alright, are you ready?
Yes, sir. I'm available.
North 30 degrees. By 4672.
All right, 4672. All right, and you were breaking up a little bit. Can you just repeat it one more time to make sure I have it correct?
Sorry, look.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
So you're breaking up. If you need assistance, do you have a VHF radio?
No, we do not have the VHF radio.
All right, well, let's try to get you going because you don't have good cell phone reception. Can you verify your coordinates one more time?
Okay, my coordinates are 30 degrees by 14.684 north, and then west by 88 degrees by 46.79.
Right, looks like you're on Horn Island, correct? Are you
Yes,
on
we are
Horn
at Horn
Island?
Island. Yes.
All right, is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We were sinking, yes.
Is it aground is the question?
Oh, we're not aground. We are in 17 foot of water. We're in 31 foot of water.
All right, have to ask. What do you want to do? Do you want to be towed back?
I want to get this boat unsank and towed back, yes.
All right, where would you like it towed to, sir?
You can tow it to Ocean Springs Harbor, or Fort Bayou Launch.
All right, how many adults and children on board?
No, there's no children.
So, is there anybody on board? How many adults, sir? That was the question.
Where is this?
Hello, can you hear me?
How to jump in and pull the plug, Bart, while you're going.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yep, I just need you to answer these questions so I can get you over to the captain.
Okay.
How many adults on board?
There are 0 adults on board.
There's nobody on board the boat?
No. Nobody
right.
here is over the age of 21.
Sir, that was not the question. Is there a person? Is there a person, a living individual on the boat? A person, a living individual on the boat?
Hello?
Is there a living person, someone breathing on the boat? Is there anybody on the boat?
Yes, there's lots of people breathing on the boat.
All right, how many people, sir?
Like 7.
All right, thank you. Does everyone have life jackets on or available to them?
Yes, we have life jackets available.
All right, verify what boat's sinking.
A Triton, 22-foot offshore, 22-foot Triton offshore sea flight hull.
All right. All right. Please hold. I'm transferring you to the local captain now.
Okay, thank you.
This is Captain Seth.
Hi, Captain Seth. This is Vicky from International. How you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I apologize ahead of time. I really do. You're going to have a fee-for-service come up under Jerry.
Okay.
It sounds like a bunch of kids on board on Horn Island. He's letting me know that his father's a member, but he can't give me any information. And he's saying the boat is sinking, and he's on Horn Island. It's just unfortunate. He's just a kid. There's a lot going on. So
Right.
he said there's about a lot of people on board. He says he thinks about 7. I'm guessing they're all under 18.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be rude. He wants you guys to go out there and unpump the boat and then tow it in.
Do you know what kind of boat it is?
He said a Triton 24-footer, but that's all he can give me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just actually got off the phone with his grandpa, who I'm guessing is the owner of the boat, and
Is it
he
Jerry?
said that Jerry. Yeah, he said.
Okay.
I just hung up with him. He said that they don't need any help right now, but if something changes, they'll call me back. So
All right.
I'm guessing that they may have figured it out, because that's what he said. So they're in a panic and their boat won't crank.
Yeah, they're in a panic. He's saying the bilge is not keeping up. I asked for Coast Guard. He said no, but he's just really upset on the back end. And, I get it. It's a kid. He just doesn't understand.
Oh, okay. Do you still have him on the line?
Yes, I still have him on the line. And, again, I couldn't find he couldn't give me anything regarding his grandfather's, membership, so it's just under Jerry fee-for-service.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just talked to, if you want to, we're so tied up right now. We can't really do any non-member jobs right now.
Is Jerry a member? Did you find out if he was a member or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's his boat or what. I'm not sure what's going on with it. But yeah, transfer the kid over. I'll talk to him, and then I'll call his grandpa back as well.
All right. And did you want me to look up Jerry's membership number or anything like that to see if he's up? I know you guys are
You can
swamped.
try this cell phone number.
All right. Yep. Jerry. Yeah, he's an active member. Hold on.
What kind of boat do you have on there? Same boat?
Yeah, he's one. Yeah, he's one of your members. Yep, 22-foot Triton. All right. I'll just disregard this one. I'm gonna send you over an accurate one under this Jerry Ackerson one. Okay, he's one of your members. You'll get in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, and yeah, just transfer this kid over whenever you get a chance.
All right, transfer him now. Thank you again, Captain.
All right.
Stay safe out there. It's crazy. Have a drink.
Oh, it's wild.
Call. Now that you've heard the complete SeaTow call, let's slow everything down and examine what was actually documented. This is where careful listening becomes more important than quick conclusions. When a case receives national attention, it's easy for individual moments to take on a life of their own, especially after they begin circulating online in short clips. But a full recording often provides context that shorter excerpts cannot. The call begins with urgency. The caller immediately tells the dispatcher that the group is near the west tip of Horn Island, that the bilge pump has stopped working, and that the boat is taking on water. He says they're sinking and asks for help as quickly as possible. Those opening moments establish one fact that has never really been disputed. At the time of the call, The people on board believed they were dealing with a genuine boating emergency. Whether the situation later stabilized or not, the caller clearly communicates that they believe the vessel is in trouble. The dispatcher responds exactly as someone trained for this type of emergency would. Rather than reacting emotionally, she begins gathering information. Every question she asks serves a specific purpose. She needs to know how severe the flooding is, where the boat is located, how many people are aboard, whether anyone is injured, and whether additional emergency agencies should become involved. From the very beginning, communication becomes difficult. The caller struggles to answer even basic questions. Sometimes the connection cuts out. Other times he pauses before responding. Several answers have to be repeated because the dispatcher cannot understand what he is saying. Standing alone, that doesn't necessarily indicate anything unusual. Anyone trying to speak over wind, waves, poor cellular reception, and several frightened passengers might sound exactly the same. A person under stress often has trouble organizing information that would otherwise be easy to remember. But as the conversation continues, another pattern begins to emerge. The dispatcher asks for the membership number associated with the SeaTow account. The caller cannot provide it. She asks for the phone number listed on the account. Again, he isn't sure. He remembers only that someone in the family has a membership. Eventually, the name Jerry comes up, and later in the conversation, the dispatcher confirms that an active membership exists under that name. Those details may seem insignificant, but they illustrate the overall condition of the caller. Throughout the recording, he appears overwhelmed by everything happening around him. He is trying to answer questions while simultaneously dealing with a rapidly changing situation on the boat. Next comes one of the most discussed portions of the call. The dispatcher asks a routine question. Is everybody on board in good health otherwise? The caller answers yes. On its face, that exchange appears straightforward. At that point in the call, the dispatcher has no independent way of knowing what is happening aboard the vessel. Like every emergency dispatcher, she relies on the information provided by the caller. Because later events in the Nolan Wells investigation became the focus of public attention, many listeners have returned to this moment repeatedly. Some have questioned whether the answer accurately reflected what was happening. Others have argued that the response should be viewed within the context of a chaotic emergency involving frightened teenagers trying to keep a boat afloat. The recording itself cannot answer that question. It simply documents what was said. One of the dispatcher's next questions is equally important. She asks whether they need the United States Coast Guard. The caller responds that they do not. Again, it's impossible to know from the recording alone why that decision was made. Perhaps the group believed SeaTow could solve the problem without involving additional emergency responders. Perhaps they believed the situation was improving. Perhaps they misunderstood the seriousness of what was happening. The recording itself does not explain the reasoning. It only preserves the exchange exactly as it occurred. The dispatcher then turns her attention to location. Without accurate coordinates, help cannot be sent efficiently. The caller attempts to provide GPS coordinates, but the connection continues breaking up. Multiple attempts are required before the dispatcher feels confident she understands their position. Eventually, she confirms they are near Horn Island. That confirmation becomes an important part of the documented timeline because it places the group in a specific area during the afternoon of July 4. The dispatcher next asks whether the boat is aground or actually sinking. The distinction matters. A grounded vessel often presents a very different type of emergency than one actively filling with water offshore. The caller insists they are sinking. He estimates the depth of the surrounding water while continuing to answer questions as best he can. Once the dispatcher determines that towing assistance may be required, she asks where they would like the boat taken. The caller names possible destinations. Even in the middle of what he describes as an emergency, the conversation shifts briefly toward practical planning. Then the recording reaches another section that has received considerable public attention. The dispatcher asks how many adults and children are on board. Instead of receiving a direct answer, she hears that there are no children. She then asks how many adults. The caller responds by saying no one is over 21 years old. Technically, that does not answer her question. Recognizing the confusion, the dispatcher immediately changes her wording. She no longer asks about adults. She asks whether there is anyone on the boat. Even then, the answers remain inconsistent before the caller eventually says there are several people aboard. When listeners first hear this exchange, it can sound unusual. But before assigning meaning to it, it's important to remember the circumstances. The dispatcher is asking legal and logistical questions. The caller appears focused on age categories rather than simply counting passengers. Misunderstandings like this can occur even in ordinary conversations, especially when someone is under significant stress. That explanation may or may not account for every confusing response. The important point is that the recording documents confusion, not necessarily its cause. Throughout the call, other voices can be heard in the background. That should not surprise anyone. The dispatcher herself later tells the local captain that it sounds like a group of kids trying to deal with a stressful situation. The recording reflects exactly that. Several people appear to be talking at once. Some comments are audible. Others are impossible to distinguish. This is where responsible reporting becomes especially important. After the recording became public, enhanced versions circulated online, accompanied by claims that certain background phrases could be heard. Those claims quickly generated widespread discussion. However, enhancement software does not create certainty where none exists. Different analysts can reach different conclusions when attempting to isolate unclear speech. Several independent experts have urged caution, explaining that listeners should avoid treating suggested interpretations as established facts unless they can be independently verified. That's an important distinction because once someone is told what they are supposed to hear, the brain often begins searching for those exact words. Psychologists refer to this as auditory pareidolia, a phenomenon in which ambiguous sounds are perceived as recognizable speech or patterns. It is one reason professional forensic analysis requires rigorous standards rather than subjective interpretation. That doesn't mean every reported interpretation is wrong, nor does it mean every interpretation is correct. It simply means that unclear audio should remain exactly that unclear until supported by reliable forensic evidence. As we continue through this investigation, our focus remains on documented events, publicly available records, and verified timelines. The SeaTow call is unquestionably one of the most important recordings connected to this case. Not because it answers every question, but because it captures a real moment during an unfolding emergency, preserving the voices, decisions, and information exchanged before later events place the case under an even brighter spotlight. In the next section, we'll move beyond the recording itself and examine what happened after the call ended, how the known timeline continued to develop, and why investigators and Nolan Wells' family have continued searching for answers long after that afternoon on the water. Before we continue, if you're finding this investigation valuable, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Brian Case Records. Every like helps more viewers discover fact-based true crime reporting, and every subscription helps us continue producing in-depth investigations like this one.